Hi. My name is Tiffany Malashevsky, and I do our internal PR here at Zendesk. And I want to thank all of you for coming to our new offices at 6th and Market. We're really excited to be here. We are thrilled to have Mayor Ed Lee with us today and the President of the Board of Supervisors, David Chu. We're going to tell you all about our expansion here and some other things we got going on. So I'm going to defer to our CEO, Mikkel Spain, tell you what's going on.
All righty. Yeah, thank you. Maybe I should put this up a little bit. So first name Mikkel, last name Svane, Mikkel Svane. I prepared a little thing here. So first of all, Major Lee, President Chu, distinguished guests, welcome to Zendesk new home here on Market Street. My name is Mikkel Svane. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Zendesk. And as you can tell from my broken English, I'm not from around here. I'm Danish and moved to San Francisco from Copenhagen 2 years ago. The first time I visited San Francisco was back in '95, and it was a super inspirational trip for me. The vitality of the tech community and the tech scene here sent me back to Denmark with a dream and an ambition to work in technology, work with web, and work with software. 12 years later, a few ventures, many companies later, I reunited with my two good friends and colleagues, and we got together to build this great startup called Zendesk. In 2009, meaning 2 years later, we took a leap of faith and moved our company, moved our families, our spouses, our kids to San Francisco to grow our business in one of the most vital cities in the world. We were humbled by the wonderful way we were welcomed to San Francisco. The amazing talent we've been able to recruit here has put it on a very rapid growth path. And for those of you who don't know, Zendesk is cloud-based help desk software. We're now the leading provider of cloud-based help desk software, and we have more than 10,000 customers in more than 100 countries using our software today, including companies such as Adobe, MSNBC, Sony, OpenTable, Groupon, and many, many more. They all trust Zendesk with their most valuable assets, their customers, their partners, and their employees. Today, Zendesk is 100 employees strong. Earlier this summer, we started to outgrow our current office space down on Townsend Street, and as we explored new places where we could build our company and grow our company, we realized that the timing was right, and we were so fortunate that the city of San Francisco had a bold and a visionary plan for this central market area. The payroll tax exclusion for this neighborhood is a great example of why San Francisco is such an amazing place to grow a business. And now look around you, here we are today. I've never dreamed that we would have such an amazing office in such an awesome location. I've been traveling personally for the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been part of the actual move, unfortunately. But as I walked to our new offices for the first time yesterday, I thought of my first visit back in '95 and how lucky and privileged I am to call San Francisco my home today. Also, how honored I am to build my business right here. As you will tour the office today and join us for lunch, which, by the way, is catered by Tiny Spot further down 6th Street, our good friends and neighbors. I think that you will also find that all of us here at Zendesk are proud to be citizens of a city that has the vision and the ability to execute on that vision and make the entire city of San Francisco a better, or maybe rather the best place in the world to live, to build a business, and to work. In short, we're very thankful for the wonderful way we've been treated by the city of San Francisco. In return, we are very proud and happy to help energize this up-and-coming neighborhood with so much potential. I have two final words for you. Mange tak, meaning thank you very much in Danish. On behalf of all my current crew here, of future employees of Zendesk, of all our customers, and on behalf of all the people that we are dedicated to help in this new neighborhood, thank you very much. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce the Mayor of San Francisco, Ed Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mikkel, congratulations to you and all of your colleagues here and your employees. I look around and I want to make sure I recognize faces because I think these are going to be our new partners. David Chu and I, when we go to Showdown after work with you, we're going to know who our drinking partners are. As well as getting the dog over at Show Dogs as well. But thank you and congratulations, Mikkel. It's been a wonderful short period of time for this company to make such dramatic changes, but it's changes that San Francisco has looked forward to for quite some time. And the company locating here, right in Central Market, at the invitation that David Chu and I worked hard, along with Supervisor Kim, in creating earlier this year the Central Market payroll tax exemption corridor, if you will. And that the company's not only taken advantage of that, in locating here from their original space on Townsend Street where they first started a couple of years back. You know, at the time when they started, they had about 1,000 customers. Today, it's over 5,000 customers, almost 10,000 customers. These are customers that are looking at and reaching them on online help desk, using Web 2.0. And you know, I don't profess to know, maybe David is even more techie than I am, know about all the different programs that are out there that people need help on, whether it's Ruby's on Rails or SAS or some of these others that are going on, that people do need some forward-looking help on the web to be able to navigate that and also determine how it can help their business, help their own communications and so forth. So the kind of forward-facing help that these help desks has contributed is a wonderful contribution to the business world. At the same time, it's a huge contribution to what we're trying to do in Central Market. And this is yet the second major announcement, along with many others that we've announced. And the workforce here, I think, is excited because it's not just the company that will take advantage of the payroll exemption, but there are other things that we've done to make sure the employees here are happy. They're happy to be here because they see the changes, the arts world that we brought in just up the block. There's Burning Man, there's the Gray Arts Foundation that we've located here, the synergism that we're working with the Grants for the Arts and the Arts Commission to revitalize the storefronts with storefront arts, the performing arts that we've instigated here through our collaboration to create with our Office of Economic Development. I know Amy Cohen is here today on behalf of that office to represent all the things that we've been doing in addition to the payroll tax exemption, because that's only one aspect. We have along Market Street, we've started with DPW in the leadership a 15-member advisory committee with a grant from Caltrans, a $250,000 grant to really start the Better Streets initiative here and how we can make sure that 25%, which I think is right, of your workforce currently rides to work every day, and make sure that these dedicated green lanes are still there, and whether we can figure out more dedicated ways in which to get some of their South Bay employees to ride safely from the Caltrans site over here to Market Street. Same with Twitter employees. They want to be able to ride to work as much as they can and use public transportation, not to have the hassle of vehicles at the same time. That helps with Central Market. So we have many programs going along. We have still working with redevelopment, seeing whether or not we can develop a redevelopment overlay on this and use future tax increments to, again, fund the kinds of things that we want to do to help make this area attractive, along with the arts, along with the payroll tax incentives. And then we have a development fund to really help small businesses. I mentioned earlier that the Show Dogs and the food trucks are here for the employees, and I know a lot of them go to the food trucks as they arrive at 5th and Minna on a weekly basis. But also we've got the fall, we've got Pearl's Deluxe Burgers that are opening up, and they have benefited from the low interest loan programs that we're creating to attract businesses here. And later on in the fall, you'll see Huckleberry Bicycle. They'll start up here as well, and they've gotten a loan as well. The efforts that we're making, which is multidisciplinary, using the arts, using financial incentives, using the payroll tax incentive, at the same time making sure that we're making decisions at City Hall to keep the economic vitality of the city strong so that people like, and companies like Zendesk can make that investment here and be able to grow from 1,000 people to over 10,000 people. This office is not only contributing to its existence here, but at the very same time, they're going to be leasing 35,000 square feet here to grow from their current 100 employees to, by the end of the year, we're expecting about 150 employees. That's right, Mikhail, 150 employees. So they're already growing as we speak, and they're growing it right here in such a market. So I think that all of the things that we've done in working collaboratively with our Board of Supervisors to make sure that every step of the way is inviting, that it's embracing of these small businesses come in, that they are the new employers in the city, are welcomed, and that they make a long-term commitment, right down to the details that I know Mikhail said earlier. They're going to make a long-term commitment here because they're already talking about fiber to the building. Right? You're already, I mean, because that's the way you get the long-term commitment in markets. You bring fiber to the building. They're already working with the city to make sure that happens. So there's a long-term commitment being made here to grow, to stay, and to make Central Market the place that we all want to make it a lot more vibrant, a lot more inviting to the employees, safe as well as very culturally diverse with all of its food and all of the artworks. So I'm very happy to be here. We're going to be announcing other things today. We have the online applications for other companies that want to move in the Central Market. We have that application to be announced here today. And then I think I'm going to dive into maybe being the first voice on a help desk today. Rather than ribbon cutting, I'm actually going to answer a question from somebody calling in. And I can't think of another better way, apart from having a beer with you at a showdown later, is to celebrate by actually participating in the business of the company. So I'll look forward to doing that in a few minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm David Chu, President of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and I'm delighted to be part of the unveiling of an amazing San Francisco story. Our city was founded on the backs of innovators that came here in the 1849 gold rush. And then you fast forward to that first .com era, which is what Mikhail was referring to, and all the innovators who came there. This is that next revolution, and it's wonderful to help usher in Zendesk. As I was biking over here this morning, I thought about 11 years ago when I actually was running a small tech company literally half a block from here. And it was at a time when we actually had very few innovators that wanted to come to the Central Market area. And to be perfectly honest, many of my employees didn't really enjoy coming to work in this neighborhood. And they wanted us to move, as we eventually did, to the financial district. But things are changing. And I want to thank all the staff from OEWD who have been working around this vision for several years. I know last year I had a conversation with Jennifer Matz about how we wanted to think about a tax incentive in this area. We had no idea at that time, though, of the existence of a company like Zendesk or of Twitter or Burning Man who would actually come and be the nucleus of what we hope to be the revitalization of a part of our city that has been blighted for decades. I want to just take a moment and celebrate the brand of Zendesk. I think you are an appropriate company for San Francisco, not only because of the green, not only because of the headphones on the Buddha, but I can tell you, and I know Mayor Lee probably agrees with me on this, as we sit at our desks at City Hall, not so Zen. And I hope that Zendesk can help us at city government to think about customer support, help desk, how we can help create a 21st century city government that provides services to our citizens, our residents, in the way that the private sector does. We may not be doing things yet on Ruby on Rails or using the various back-end technologies that you have, but it is my hope someday that our own help desk and customer service functions will parallel the type of things that this company is helping to do. One last thing I want to mention, I love the international dimension to the story of this company. Mikhail was talking about how he was first inspired to create a company like this during his time here in San Francisco. I want to mention to all the cyclists here in San Francisco, last year we set a goal for the city of 20% of our trips by bicycle by the year 2020. The inspiration for that, I have to admit, came while I was biking in the rain in Copenhagen last year, and saw that that is a country that has a biking culture that actually adds to the economic success of Denmark. When you have employees who are healthy, when you have employees who are getting to work on time, who are actually enjoying their trips, they help to move forward a workforce and the successes of the local economy. And it is my hope, and I know Mary Lee shares this, that we will someday have a transit-verse city that works with a 21st century economy to, again, make sure that San Francisco remains on the map as an international capital of an economy that parallels none in the world. So with that, welcome to San Francisco, and it's great to be among all of the folks who are quite Zen here at Zendesk.
And with that, we'd like to open it up to the press if you guys have any questions about today's announcement.
You're announcing the launch of a new website to coordinate revitalization efforts
Oh,
for the Central Market.
right, Amy's here as well to answer that. So we have a website where you can actually lift the application for payroll tax exemption, application for your business if you wish to be within this zone. And that's an online ability, and I think you can access it by www.centralmarketpartnership.org. Come on up, Amy. Come on up.
Sorry, Amy Cohen, Director of Neighborhood Business Development with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. The website has the tax exclusion application. It also has a space location service through a partnership with rofo.com. So it's actually free to list space for lease and free to search for space for lease. It also has news, events, and many other things related to Central Market. So it's now sort of the one-stop shop for everything that's happening in this neighborhood.
Could you just give us an example or two about how you envision it being used?
I envision it being used by, for instance, companies that are interested in moving here, that have heard about it, that might normally call us. You're still welcome to call us, but now we can also direct you to a site that has a number of listings of space available. I also think that, I hope that property owners and brokers would use it as well. Although there's other services out there, this will be free for them to post anything, any space available in Central Market. So those are two examples. But it's also for folks who want to go to arts events. We have a calendar that we're populating. Anyone who has events, businesses that have promotions, we can post it all.
The idea of having this online came about even when we were negotiating with Twitter, because we knew their building was only going to be several floors. But there are other companies as well. Once we really see that happening, we might want to come in. How do we continue getting updated information about whether or not we can come in to either the Shorenstein building at the Furniture Mart or other places that are close by? Because we know some of the innovation has a lot to do with companies locating very closely to the companies like Zendesk and Twitter and other companies that have already registered as anchors in the Central Market.
What process did you go through to find this space? Was it complicated or?
We had some excellent brokers, first of all. We had some excellent brokers, first of all, but I think the process was more about falling in love with this place, falling in love with the building, and falling in love with the neighborhood. And that's always, love is a little complicated.
Did you look at a bunch of city buildings and locations before you settled on this one? Did you shop around?
We looked at different locations, but we quickly, there was a quick love affair with this place.
And how long is your lease for here?
What's that?
How long is your lease for?
3 years.
How much money with the payroll tax exam that you think your company is going to save?
I don't have the details on that, sorry.
But did you apply for the?
Yes.
You did.
Sir, both you and President Chu have spoken about progressing with a more comprehensive payroll tax legislation. Can you offer some specificity about what exactly that's going to entail? And also, given the deteriorating relationship between you and... yeah.
Very well together in the city forward.
How do you anticipate that working out, if you win a re-election as some expect?
He's a Chew and I'm a Lee, but we're both Danish today. First off, and I know we've had updates with each other because we still meet one-on-one every week as we determine that's in the best interest of moving items at the board level or at the mayor's level together. And so we have committed to a series of meetings starting in September that we're giving ourselves about a year to make sure that we include a lot of opinions, established businesses and new business opinions, to give us time enough to actually come up with some kind of a hybrid approach to preserving the level of revenue that we've already been collecting, but also to create a new revenue stream that would be less job punishing than the payroll tax has been. We've heard that very seriously from evolving companies and from established companies. If they want to grow here, they can't have a tax system that punishes that growth. And so we've internalized that already. That's one of our goals in doing this together. But we're just setting up those meetings. We will have those meetings include controller's office and financial experts that'll help us with a plan about our new economy, our emerging economy. And there's a need to update our economic planning for the city in the next year. We're going to be updating that at the same time.
If I could add a couple things to that. When I was running my company, and as any entrepreneur or innovator knows, our business payroll tax has been a huge drag, and has been a reason why we've literally lost tens of thousands of employees in recent years and hundreds of companies in recent years. You can talk to venture capitalists, you can talk to investors, you can talk to entrepreneurs who will tell us that a tax on labor, on payroll, particularly on only 1 out of 10 companies, is not the way for us to incent companies to move here in San Francisco. So this is why ever since I came into office, I've been calling for a comprehensive reform of our business tax. It's something that I think finally now, several years later, many of us at City Hall agree this is something we need to do. And just in this last budget process, we actually agreed to put money into the budget to have some economists and consultants give us some real data on the best way to move from our current business payroll tax to something that would be a fairer tax of the business community. I think it's very possible that it would look like a gross receipts tax, which is used by many cities in California. The payroll tax, as you know, we're the only city in the state of California that primarily relies on that as our form of asking businesses to provide for services. So I do look forward to working with the mayor, to working with my colleagues, to working with many folks here to think exactly what is the best thing for us to do, and then to hopefully place something on the November 2012 ballot for us to, again, move to a business tax that will ensure the growth of a 21st century economy here in our city.
Or this report is forthcoming?
No. Well, last year, the city controller actually studied our business payroll tax, but we are actually now also going to bring in outside economists and consultants to help us look at this. And by the way, I do want to mention one thing, given Jerry's question. I think that while Mayor Lee and I may be competitors on the trail, we are certainly colleagues together at City Hall. We're going to work together to move our city forward.
I can also add, too, I know part of that conversation with businesses is also going to be about what the city can do more of that promotes the headquarters of global companies that are locating here in San Francisco. Because at the one end, it is about the tax policies, but it also is, too, about as a global city, do we understand that all of the companies, including Zendesk, they may have just started in the last 5 or 6 years, but they want to go global, and they want a city that has that global connection to be able to help them sell their service and products. It's what Obama has been referring to about our need to have a national export initiative in the city. And for San Francisco, it's not so much about selling coffee or peanuts as it is about the knowledge base that we can sell all over the world and have people better connected. That's going to be our, I think, big selling point is we've got the global understanding and the connections to help a company like Zendesk and Twitter become even more global in the way they approach their business.
What are are some of the things that you can do to promote companies locating headquarters here that you have in mind?
For example, I do plan, after this election is over, that we ought to have a business trip to the Far East. That includes China and Japan and Korea and Southeast Asia. As you know, we're hosting the ministerial meetings this fall, next month, in preparation for the APEC conference, the Asian Pacific Economic Collaboration, Cooperation meetings that are going to be held in Honolulu. Because the state of California, as the president knows, is a real key gateway to a lot of the business, a lot of the countries that want to buy U.S. products. And so in follow-up with that, with those meetings that will be held here, and Secretary Hillary Clinton will hold a Women in Economic Summit here in September that will lead to many more meetings in the Bay Area, that will lead to the October meetings in Honolulu, that we are continuing to be that gateway. And so it would be very natural for a mayor and an administration in San Francisco to help company representatives find their counterparts in the whole Far East countries, be it Japan or Southeast Asia, Thailand, Singapore, all the areas, including China and Japan and Korea. And those are markets that want this kind of knowledge, products that we're producing here, and want to be successful in their own right and use that technology to help elevate their companies or create even stronger middle classes for their countries.
So who's going to the trip and also who's paying for the trip?
We don't have all the details about who's paying for the trip yet. Obviously, if I take a trip, I got to pay for it myself. But on behalf of the city and county of San Francisco, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we'll have equal representation there because, again, as David Chu's pointed out, the mayor and the board are working together to promote the city. And we have to do all we can to understand and continue promoting that we're a global international city, and we welcome business both ways. At the same time, as you know, China SF, something that we created here through our Office of Economic Development that Mayor Gavin Newsom helped create, is getting companies from China to actually locate here. We got 5 of their top solar companies located right here in the city now, and we're in addition to all the other new companies that will be attracted here.
So I'm actually going to wrap this up because we are running out of time with the mayor, and we want him to take his first support call here at Zendesk. So if you guys have any follow-up questions you want, please direct them at me. You can find me. I'll give you a card. But for now, let's head over to the desk we created for you.
All right. Let's be a Zen. Yeah.